to go. It was an economic boom town. It was like a Wall Street. It dealt in significant financial matters because of its strategic location. It was also known for idolatry. The Temple of Diana was located in Ephesus, a major idolatrous tourist attraction. Diana would draw people from all over that part of the world. And so people from all different backgrounds, cultures would come through Ephesus because of all that it had to offer. The church at Ephesus, where you get the book of Ephesians out of, that's the book written to the church at Ephesus. The story of the church's beginning, feel free to read it sometime, is Acts chapter 19, of how in the midst of sorcery and witchcraft and economics, people got saved and the church was established. And it is expressed to us in Acts 19 about the energy, excitement, and challenges that face this brand new church. But here in the book of Revelation, he is not writing because all is well. He is writing because of a situation that needed to be addressed for people who wanted to be overcomers, as I hope that we do. He makes it clear in the first verse that this was written for the angel of that house, that is God's messenger. The word angel from the Greek word angelos means messenger. That the messenger, the pastor if you will, was to proclaim this message to the congregation at Ephesus Bible Fellowship. And if you and I will hear what he has to say, he that hath an ear, let him hear, verse 7 says, then you are on your way to being an overcomer, an overruler of that which is ruling over you. Now, he first wants you to know, according to verse 1, that the one who holds the 7 stars in his right hand, the one who walks among the 7 lampstands, says this. So before he says anything, he wants to let you know where he's walking. He says he's walking among the 7 lampstands. That's the 7 churches. So right now, as we gather in our congregational meeting today, there is an unseen visitor. Jesus Christ is walking up and down the aisles of this worship service. You cannot see him because he's here in spirit, not in body, but he's very much there. And he says, he that walks among the 7 lampstands says this. And the first phrase he says is, I know. So he wants you to know as he passes by your pew, I know you, and I know you. I know who you are. I know where you came from. I know where you're going. I know where you've been. I know what you're thinking right now. I know. So right now, we might as well get off the facade because he knows. He starts off with a compliment, a commendation, if you will. He wants to congratulate the church first. He says, I know your deeds. I know what you do. I know that you are a serving church. I know about your programs. You are a serving church. You're not only a serving church, but I also know verse 2 says your toil. The Greek word for toil means to labor to the point of exhaustion. I see you sweating. You're not only a serving church, you are then a sacrificing church. You go overboard. In addition to that, I know, he says, verse 2, your perseverance. I know that you don't quit when the going gets tough because you are a steadfast church. When times are hard, you keep going. You don't throw in the towel just because you may not be feeling it today. I'm well aware of your longevity. I'm conscious of your 40 years. Not only that, I am also well aware that you do not tolerate evil men, and you test them who call themselves apostles and are not. You are a separated church. That is, you are orthodox in theology and doctrine. He says, I know something else about you, and that is that you have perseverance and have endured for my name's sake. You are a suffering church. You have not grown weary. You're serving, you're sacrificing, you're steadfast, you're separated, you're suffering. You are a model congregation, and I know it. But the commendation now turns to a criticism or a condemnation. But I have this against you. You have left your first love. Wait a minute. Jesus, you just told me 5 things that you like about me, about Ephesus Bible Fellowship. You done just told me 5 things. You know how irritating it is for somebody to tell you 5 good things and then come with 1 thing that they can't deal with? Jesus says, I've seen your commendable attributes, but I have this 1 thing against you. You have left your first love. So evidently, you can be a serving church and a serving Christian and have left your first love. Evidently, you can be a sacrificing church and a sacrificing Christian and have left your first love. You can be a steadfast church and a steadfast Christian and have left your first love. You can be a separated church and a separated Christian and have left your first love. You can be a suffering church and a suffering Christian and still have left your first love. So evidently, you can be doing right stuff and be in wrong relationship. You can be functionally precise and spiritually out of sync. What is this problem that Jesus speaks of that's so big that it wipes out 5 compliments, that it overrules 5 affirmations? He says, I just got 1 thing, but it's a doozy. You have left your first love. His complaint is they don't love him first. You have left your first love. Now, you may still love me, but you no longer love me first. God cannot stop existing because he's eternal. So he can't do that. There are some things he cannot do. Let me tell you something else God can't do. He can't be second. When it comes to giving, God says, give to the Lord the first fruits of what he's given you. All through the Bible, this thing of first. Because God assumes if he's not first, he must not be worthy. God demands to be first in our affection, in our attention, in our priority. He demands to be first because that's what he is. And when he is no longer first and has been repositioned with something or someone in place of him, you've just created an idol because you've made something else first. And whatever is first becomes your God. So now God has competition in your life. He's not saying you don't love me. He's saying you don't love me first. That I am not your priority and I don't know how to be second. We, individually and corporately, have often committed the sin of making ministry for him more important than relationship with him, and the cost has been great in our spiritual experience of him. He says you've left your first love. You've compromised religion for relationship. And you've left me. He says you've left your first love. What does it look like when you leave your first love? It means that you have to find time for him when you have time for other things. It has to do with priority. He wants to know he's first. That he has been relationally prioritized, not just programmatically.